3% chance of ever developing heart disease in my lifetime. And I wasn't very surprised at that because I've always had low blood pressure, low cholesterol, all the good numbers. I've always been a really healthy person. And so that didn't surprise me. But then 3 weeks later, it was Thanksgiving week of 2015. I wasn't feeling well. I was just feeling like I didn't have the energy that I should. I had kids at home. I had kids coming back from college for Thanksgiving that week, and I was trying to do all the mom things that I wanted to do, and I just didn't have any energy, and I knew I wasn't myself. So I went to convenient care on Sunday, and they gave me an inhaler. And I wasn't getting any better throughout the week, and on Wednesday, I said, okay, that's it. I'm going back to convenient care. I've got to get this taken care of before Thanksgiving. And they gave me a prescription for an antibiotic. And I just wasn't getting any better. I missed Thanksgiving. I was in bed, not because I was in pain or anything like that. I just didn't have the wherewithal to get out of bed, which was so weird for me. And they had Thanksgiving without me. I pretty much missed the whole thing, even though I was right there in the house. And then the next day was Black Friday. And that was a significant day in our family because on Black Friday, 8 years ago, my high school sweetheart took on a whole new role in my life. And things sort of shifted in our household on that day because he got up early that morning and he called our family doctor and he insisted that I be seen that day, and then he drove me to the doctor. And I'm alive today because he did that. Because my doctor later told me that that morning when I was getting ready for my doctor's appointment, I was sitting on the floor of our bedroom trying to put my socks on. And I couldn't do it. I didn't have what it took to put my socks on. And my doctor said that I was about to die at that point. Well, we got to our family doctor, and like they always do, he pulled out a stethoscope and he listened to my heart. And he said, if we're lucky, it's pneumonia. And I looked at Dell and thought, oh, I thought that was worst case scenario. Well, he took a chest x-ray, and what he found was that I had a very enlarged heart. And he direct admitted me into our local cardiac ICU. He would not let me go home to pack a bag. And so I spent 14 days in cardiac ICU at Mercy Hospital in Northwest Arkansas. And on the day one of being admitted there, I was diagnosed with end-stage heart failure from an unknown cause. And I learned that my heart was functioning with an EF of just 6%. Now this was a major shock to me because something like this was never on my radar. You know, I had no risk factor. I had no family history. And that life insurance statement, right? And if I had made a list of all the things that I was worried about that would ever happen in my lifetime at that point, you know, cancer would have been up there somewhere near the top. But I have to tell you that heart disease wouldn't have even made the list. I had no idea at that point that heart disease kills more people every year than all forms of cancer combined. Well, doctors suspect that a virus attacked my heart. And in a pre-COVID world, that was a strange idea. And the truth is, we may never know what happened to my heart. But I do know that I had many symptoms for many years that I just didn't recognize as heart-related. I had shortness of breath. I had unexplained fatigue. I had difficulty, especially with inclines. I had an inability to exercise. And I felt like at times where my heart was just beating out of my chest, like I felt like people could see it beating. And I didn't recognize as something that was serious. And to be fair, my husband runs marathons. My children were in high school sports. So I knew that I was the one that was not in as good a shape. I knew that I had kind of, I'm going to get to that, I'll get in shape and I'll get back to it. And so I kind of pushed that under the rug. But the funny thing is, I remember talking about these symptoms with my kids after I was diagnosed, and I said, these symptoms, and I didn't realize I had them, and I knew I had them, but I didn't realize they were serious. And then there's another symptom that is, they say, is a heart failure symptom, but I didn't have this one, and that's a constant dry cough. And my youngest daughter said, "Mom, you've always had a constant dry cough. When we would lose you in a store, that's how we'd find you. We just wait for you to cough." And I had no idea. Just thought they found me, I guess. But individually, I ignored all those symptoms because they just felt so insignificant, each one by itself, and I was so healthy on so many other fronts. So when I got that diagnosis, it felt unfair and it felt unexpected. Well, while I was in ICU at my local hospital, my daughter's high school choir gave me a private concert in the chapel at Mercy Hospital because they didn't think I'd make it to see the public one. And now I know that no one, especially the doctors, expected me to leave ICU. Well, I obviously did. But they sent me home with a hospice binder. Optimistic doctors gave me a 5-year life expectancy. And the more realistic doctors were thinking more like 6 months. And we got sympathetic tears from just about every medical person we saw. And I was flown within a week to Cleveland Clinic, which is the top heart hospital in the nation. And I became my doctor's most critical patient for 1.5 years. And she told me recently that when I first came in, my heart was the largest heart she's ever seen. And during that time, I wore an external defibrillator that's called a life vest, which has electrodes that attach and a battery pack that can shock you from outside your body to keep your heart going. And I wore that for 9 months. And I titrated all my medications to their maximum dosages